I'd like to show you a few slides to give you some idea of the kind of work that we're going to have to do. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18, gives us an identifying number whereby we can recognize the system that is going to be the enemy of God's people, as it has been all the way through history. We have to go back to the plains of Shinar. There, these men settling on those plains faced fierce animals, and it required a great hunter, a man of organizing power that could clear the plains of those animals that threatened life. The man's name was Nimrod, and he became a mighty hunter before the Lord. He killed a bull with his bare hands and a lion with his bare hands. He was a man of black skin. One of his names was Ethiopus, or the son of Cush. And he was a giant man, a powerful man who spoke to the rising sun in the morning. He wore the cloak of the lion, and he wore the horns of the bull as a symbol of his power. In that time, those rulers of the city-states on those plains had to take the life of a lion barehanded in order to maintain their position as priest-kings in that occult world. Nimrod was more than a hunter. He was a great builder. His father, Cush, had laid the foundation of Babylon, and now he finished that great tower. Babylon, the first city, was only the beginning of many other cities of greater size and greater beauty. But that first tower was a symbol of man's rebellion against God. His wife, Semiramis, was blonde and blue-eyed, the most beautiful woman in the world. But beauty doesn't mean much when your heart is so corrupt. She was the author of witchcraft and blood sacrifices, the mother of all mother religions. She was called the Queen of Heaven and the Mother of God. She had an illegitimate son after Nimrod died at the hands of Shem. Fearing that the religion of Nimrod would bring upon her the same destiny, she took it into secret, and thus Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Her son grew up to be a man. The father was black, and the son was white. The black and white symbol of good and evil has been with us ever since. As a young man, he was killed by a boar in a hunting accident. The boar became a symbol of the destroyer of the gods. And that death of that child caused tremendous mourning. 40 days of mourning among the people of the plains. Semiramis taught that her son's soul had descended into the heavens and there continued with the Father through the Son to rule over the things of this earth. When Semiramis died, her soul is supposed to have gone into that deity as well. So the Son was a trinity of Father, Mother, and child. They taught that the stars in heavens were the departed spirits of the dead, and that they continued to rule over man's experience on this earth. And so the entire system of Babylonian worship was the worship and placation of the dead. They watched the movement of the sun, and every December 25th offered their worship to the rebirth of the sun in every culture of the world under many different names. They saw that during the day God was a creator, he was good, he was male, and in the evening he was female, evil, and a fish. They believed that the earth was a bowl and that the sun could continue to go circling down into the water and up into the heavens. But it led to many strange myths and many gods in the Babylonian system, over 5,000 before the priests were through lying to the people. The sixth was a hieroglyph of both the serpent and the man. 6 houses were set aside for the rulership of the sun during the day when male and good, and 6 houses in the evening when female and evil. 18 in the day, 18 sections, 3 in each house, 3 rooms in each house, for 6 plus 6 plus 6 in the day. In the evening, 6 plus 6 plus 6. Everything revolved around the number 6. Each one of the rooms in the house of the zodiac was given a god, a deacon, to rule over it. There were 36 astrological gods in the Chaldean system. The number 1 through 36 added up equals the number of the mystery god, the hidden one, the monotheistic force that all the priests worship, the 666 God. It was symbolized in every culture of the world in the ancient religion as a 7-headed serpent, the 7 planetary gods and the sun. They believed that the sun ruled everything and that its energy flowed through all nature. They felt that through certain mental exercises, through certain magic words and numbers, they could manipulate this cosmic force. But they kept these things secret for themselves, and they taught a different religion to the people. They created many spirit gods, and the people had to come to the priests to be saved from these powers of nature that they were terrified of. Man has always tried to stand between God and man and creates an image of God that is terrifying to give man more power. As we look around this world, we see relics of that early Tower of Babylon reflected in many cultures of the world. In 606, Babylon had her chance again. Nebuchadnezzar and his father conquered the world. They conquered Palestine and Egypt and set up one of the greatest kingdoms the world had ever known up to that time. They moved the capital to Babylon. He brought the sons of kings and emasculated them so they would have to serve in his court, and he rebuilt that tower. The tower had 7 levels, each for one of the planetary gods in the sun. The base of that tower is black, representing Saturn, then Jupiter, then Mars, then the sun, then Mercury, Venus, and the moon. But as you look at that, you begin to realize that everything revolved around the movement of those planets, and those planets controlled, they believed, everything about man on this earth. The only one that could save them was a priest. Nebuchadnezzar brought gold from all over the world and plated many of the municipal buildings and palaces with gold. It was called the Golden City, and in its streets the ancient festivals of the sun were carried on. The glorious Ishtar Gate represented the opening of the female womb, as every symbol revolved around the worship of sex, representing the opening to the womb, which was the life of the city. But on its gates were symbols of destroying creatures. Enlil, Lord of demons, the bull god. The palaces were guarded by great cherubim creatures. Satan had known what was around the throne of God. These creatures were part lion, part man, and part eagle. And they reflected those creatures that had guarded the throne of God. Satan was truly setting himself up as God in this world. This is in the Babylonian room at the British Museum. This creature is called Umdugud, and the deers represented the sun. The wings of the eagle represented the clouds of the heavens, and the face of the sun symbolized by a lion. Another one of the gods given great veneration can be seen on reliefs. It's the palm tree, symbolizing the immortality of the soul. In Babylon, the sun god's name was Marduk. And once a year, he was brought out of the most holy place and floated in an ark along the river, symbolizing the movement of the sun across the heavens. Nebuchadnezzar was the priest king, or Pont Maximus, the great builder. It was he that tested Daniel and found him to be 10 times brighter. Indicated this man was a genius, a great genius. He was the master of all the magicians, and everything he said was the word of the sun. Everyone obeyed him. Those priests controlled all education. They controlled all commerce. It was inconceivable to them that they could ever be overcome by another power. But God had ordained it. And when the Syrians came in, it was a total miracle that they ever took that city, because the walls were over 300 feet tall and over 80 feet thick. And there were 3 walls to go over to get in. It was a tremendous miracle that God had worked out to bring this haughty prince to his knees. They brought in their own gods, which was just a continuation of ancient Babylonia. At the time of Daniel, a man by the name of Zoroaster, who had studied deeply into the Jewish religion, devised a counterfeit for Daniel's religion that had gone to all parts of the world during the dispersion. He called the god Mithra and dedicated the day of Sunday worship to this god. Mithra, as you can see, is a hermaphroditic deity, both male and female. He symbolized the world between brilliant light of God and darkness, the world that the sun passed through. He was the sun god. Everywhere in the world, men were worshiping these beings of nature, Bacchus, Dionysius. And in Egypt, one of the gods' names was Horus, another was Hermes. Hermes, while in a desert place, saw a great dragon stretch across the heavens. And from that dragon, he learned the light of God and brought it to civilization. This was written out in 42 volumes that had been put in the educational facility at Alexandria, Egypt, the home of early Roman Catholicism. Pythagoras, Socrates, Plato, the founder of modern educational system, were initiates into the esoteric mysteries of the occult. Continuation